Walk us through exactly what happened from the moment you landed in Abuja. Who approached you? What did they say? And at what point did you believe that due process had broken down?
Well, I came out of the plane, and a young man that is well dressed with a nice suit came to me and said, I am from the DSS, Department of State Security, and would like to meet with you in our office. I said, that's fine. Where is the letter of invitation? He said, my bosses have it. I will escort you to them. I said, I'm going through immigration. I have to do that. Just get me the letter. So he said, okay. But I noticed that as I started going, more and more people came out. Apparently, I didn't know because I slept through most of the flight. And even when we landed, I didn't call any of my guys to learn what was going on. But apparently, they had moved about 50 DSS operatives to the airport with the specific instructions that I should be detained, I should be abducted and detained. I will come to other details. But so we started working, but I saw more people coming out. You know, I'm a politician, I'm used to crowds, I'm used to people surrounding me. And then as we move forward, we came to the point that I either go right for immigration or left for the e-visa. And the two officers came forward, one big fat one and another about my height, and said, we are from the DSS, sir, we are going this way. We need to go to your office. I said, I'm not going to your office. I'm not going anywhere until you show me a letter of invitation. Your guy said you have a letter. He said, no, sir. I said, if you don't have a letter, I'm not going. You know my house. I live very close to the DSS headquarters. I can even walk down there if you bring a letter of invitation. So I tried to turn right, and they tried to force me to go left. I said, look, don't touch me. I'm going with my passport to have it stamped. And I'm not going where you want. He said, you have to go to where I want. I said, even the president cannot tell me I have to do anything. It's a free country, it's a democratic country, and I don't have to do anything that I do not wish to do. So you are just a middle level or senior civil servant. The president cannot tell me what to do. Don't say I have to. It's inappropriate language. And I turned right. By then, of course, some of the passengers had come and began to form a crowd. So I turned right and I moved on, presented my passport, it got stamped. And remember, before you stamp the passport, a DSS operative has to look at it and then hand over to the immigration officer. This was done. If there was any issue that is really official, the DSS operative would have told me we've been asked to hold your passport. So they stamped, gave me my passport, and I walked out. But these guys were still following me, saying I have to go with them. I said, you are wasting your time. I'm not going. I'm a citizen of this country, and I've been in government long enough to know the process, the procedure for any investigation. You are free to invite me, and I have been in government long enough to respect institutions. So just give me a letter of invitation. If you don't have a letter of invitation, forget it. I'm not going. But he felt that he could take me by force with the 50 armed DSS operatives he had. But by then, the crowd had become bigger. Passengers from the plane that came with me, as well as the people that came to receive me, now surrounded and said, that's not going to happen. They came up with a second scam. Where is your passport? I said, it's just been stamped. You saw it stamped. Yes, and then one of the immigration officers that is their surrogate said, no, we want to check something on the passport. I said, sorry, once the passport is stamped, it's my private property. And I held on to it. But one of my aides quickly took it away from me, maybe thinking that he would protect it better. That's the aide that got beaten up, and they seized the passport from him.
They beat him up?
They beat him up. If I had the passport with me, I would I would not be talking this. So this is essentially what happened. They were overpowered. They came with 50 people, but I think maybe 45 out of the 50 decided that this is not appropriate or this is not possible. Right. And I was actually quite touched, Charles, by the way people spontaneously, without any knowledge or any plan, decided that this must be resisted. And I think it portends a danger that the security agencies need to have a rethink. Because once people begin to lose confidence in the neutrality of such institutions, we're on our way to anarchy.
Right. So let's just be very clear. And thank you for explaining very lucidly what happened.
Yeah. But I want to add something.
Yes.
Because my lawyers issued a statement after that, mentioning EFCC. I want to say very clearly, it wasn't the EFCC. Okay? It was the DSS.
Right.
But the DSS were procured to abduct me by the ICPC. That has never communicated with me ever. Okay, the EFCC had written to me while I was away to say that I would like to have a chat with you over certain issues, and I replied. My lawyers replied that, well, I'm not in the country. I'm on my annual vacation, and once I know the date of return, I will let you know. And we have written to EFCC to say that I will celebrate my birthday with you. My birthday is 16th February on Monday. I will celebrate my birthday. I will come and see you at 10 a.m. on the 16th. So it wasn't the EFCC, but My lawyer thought it was the EFCC, but it was not. Subsequently, we found out that it was the ICPC that procured the DSS to abduct me and then hand over to them. And this is a modus operandi of the ICPC that increasingly has become a personal tool of Nuhu Ribadu. Nuhu made the call and made the order that I must be in custody yesterday.
How do you know he made the call?
He made the call because we listen to their calls. The government thinks that they're the only ones that listen to calls, but we also have our ways. He made the call, he gave the order. And
so you tapped his phone calls, did you?
Someone tapped his phone and told me.
Because that technically is illegal.
I know, but the government does it all the time. They listen to our calls all the time without a court order. But someone tapped his phone and told us that he gave the order. So, but the EFCC, I think, has shown itself to be more professional in this particular instance. And on Monday, by the grace of God, I'll go and see them. Yesterday, around 5 p.m., the ICPC finally did the right thing, not the DSS that tried to abduct me, by bringing a letter to my house to say, we want to see you on Friday the 13th. My lawyer wrote back to say, guys, my client is not an idle person that has no program. He's just waiting for a letter from anyone. We've received your letter. We will, now that you've written an invitation, you've had the courage to write an invitation, we'll honor the invitation. But on Monday, we are going to EFCC that has written before. So we'll go there. After the EFCC, we'll go to ICPC on Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know what the lawyer has written, but you know this. So this is the current state of things as far as we know.
Okay. Well, let me just make clear that the Office of the National Security Advisor has a right of reply, because that is how we operate journalistic fairness.
Absolutely.
So, because you've made an allegation against him saying that he essentially gave the order to come and pick you up.
Yes.
They have a right of reply if they so choose.
Yes.
But
and yesterday they met. The National Security Advisor, the Governor of Kaduna State, and the Chairman of ICPC met, and they have decided that I must be abducted today.
Not arrested, but abducted.
Yeah, abducted, because, you know, arrest, you know, people use arrest. They don't know that arrest has a legal meaning. Arrest means a lawful activity, okay, with a warrant. The police have, under the Police Act, they have a clear, you know, they can arrest you without a warrant. But every other agency must go to a judge and show cause, okay? So when you try to take a person without a valid order, it's not an arrest, it's an abduction.
But critics might argue, and we could quibble over the law and the legality of it, but they might argue that once an investigative agency issues an invitation, timing is at its discretion, not yours. Why should the EFCC or the ICPC or whatever wait for your chosen date rather than compel attendance immediately?
If they want to compel attendance, they need a court order to convince a judge why time is of the essence. There is no law in Nigeria that says once you're invited on a particular date, you must go that instance. You have your life, you have your plans, and some things cannot be postponed. You may have business transactions that you lose millions of dollars. They are not going to compensate you if you miss those meetings. So the law does not give them blank check to call you at their convenience. If it's not convenient, your lawyer would write and negotiate and say, look, you know, he will come at this time.
Right. Other critics might say that powerful politicians like you often frame investigations as persecution. Why should Nigerians see this as a constitutional issue and not simply due process catching up with you?
Look, Charles, I've been in public service from 1999 to 2007. I went into opposition for 8 years and have been in government for another 8 years. Okay, so I have 16 years record of public service. And I have challenged every Nigerian that has worked with me or knows me to come forward to you and expose me if I've ever taken a bribe or demanded a bribe or done anything unlawful in the course of my duties. I have said that on national television. There are 250 million Nigerians to come forward and prove me wrong.
Well,
okay, so I'm coming.
Sure.
And in this latest round of persecution, I've been persecuted before by the Eradua Jonathan administration. That's all documented in my book, The Accidental Public Servant, where they investigated me ad infinitum and found nothing. In the end, I was charged to court for one alleged offense, that in my tenure as Minister of FCT, in which I approved the allocation of land to 27,000 people and companies, one of the 27,000 plots was allocated to my wife. That's abuse of office. They lost. The judge abused the EFCC and warned them not to do things like that. So I have been through this. Now, this round of persecution was designed by the federal government, and they have used my successor, Ubasani, to be the enabler. They have investigated me since June 2023 in Kaduna and have come up with nothing. They have arrested my former chief of staff, my commissioner of finance, my commissioner of local government, virtually all our senior officials, my senior advisor, Councillor Jimmy Lawal, They have been interrogated. They have tried to pin things on them. They have charged them to court. Most of the charges are frivolous, and I'm quite confident they will lose. They will all be discharged and acquitted. They have not found anything. Well, in fact, Charles, they have got so desperate now. They have stopped going after those that have worked to be in Kaduna. They now randomly go after businessmen, private sector people that are suspected to be my friends. One of them has been in ICPC detention for 73 days today. Even though he has got an order from a court for him to be granted bail, they said they are not going to grant bail. Why? They are under orders. So this young man, Ahmadu Sule of TMDK, has been in ICPC detention for 73 days without bail. They have procured a judge in Kaduna, by whom I have submitted a petition to the NJC for his misconduct. They have used that judge not to grant him bail, to say, I will do accelerated hearing. And he will not accelerate the hearing. They want to keep him until after the elections because they suspect that he is the one that is funding the activities of the ADC. They have looked at his accounts for the past 3-4 years. They have found nothing. They have found absolutely nothing, but he's still in detention.
Right.
The person that took the story to them is a gentleman called Rahmania. I'm sure you've heard of the name. He went and said that this man's business is mine, that he was my fraud, even though I didn't know the guy until 2018 when he came to Kaduna to build something. So this administration has become desperate. They are determined to bring down everyone. They think that we are like them, that we were thieves in government. So they have done the investigation. They were sure they would find something. Till now, till tomorrow, they have found nothing.
Can I just come in here? Because, there are obviously an investigation is ongoing and it could take a very long time.
Yeah.
And which is why, I'm not speaking for them, but arguably it is that they're moving it directly to you, which is why they're coming after you.
That's fine.
But without prejudice to any investigation, what exactly are the current allegations against you? And are you confident that every financial and administrative decision taken under your watch in Kaduna can withstand scrutiny?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Charles, in civilized countries, you don't start investigation by abducting a person or even arresting a person and keeping him while you're investigating. It's violation of human rights. You do your investigation. Okay? Financial records today are largely electronic. They can't be hidden. You do your investigation, you get your records.
Yeah, but how do you know they haven't done their investigation, which is why they're coming for you now?
They have done their investigation and have found nothing. Okay?
Yeah, but you don't know that. You haven't answered to them.
I will go to them.
Right.
Charles, I've been around this system. I know what's going on, even in those institutions. I have an idea what's going on.
So are you suggesting that political motives are at play?
Absolutely. Look, some of the professionals in this institution feel very bad that they are being compelled. And when some of my guys that have been invited or abducted face them, when they finish all the questions, they tell them, look, we're sorry, but this is all political. Why don't you guys go and settle with them? Settle with them means what? Submit to be a member of APC, agree that Tinubu will have a second term. That's what it is.
Well, let me ask you a couple of rapid-fire questions.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll have brief answers so we can move on.
Yes.
During your tenure as governor, were there any contracts, security expenditure, or financial arrangements you now believe could face scrutiny?
Each and every decision and action we took as government of Kaduna State was well documented. I'm probably the only governor that insists that recipients of security vote must sign. We want their names on the record. Okay? The Commissioner of Internal Security has a wide degree of discretion to do things, but I've told him, keep your records, because one day questions will be asked. We are a heavily documented government. Charles.
Well, the reason
everything that has come to me, up to my level, for approval or endorsement, I have records. I have records.
Right.
So I'm not afraid of scrutiny, but I am suspicious of malicious scrutiny.
Right. And so
any scrutiny in good faith, I'm fine with it.
So you should be.
Yeah.
But there are claims that your administration engaged in controversial security strategies, including alleged financial inducements to violent groups. Did your government ever authorize payments of any kind to armed actors, directly or indirectly?
I am probably one of the few governors that from day one took the position on the advice of my security cabinet that we must never negotiate with cattle rustlers, with bandits. The position of the Kaduna State government when I was governor is the only repentant bandit is a dead one. We never negotiated that. We never did that. We never paid any group for kidnapping anyone.
Right. Okay.
In spite of the pressure. So anybody that claims that is just in another dreamland. Now, as far as I know, all right, the Commissioner of Internal Security brings me proposals for security spending. There is a standing order every month. If there is any special emergency, he brings and says, we want to do this, and I approve. He decides what he does with it, okay? If he chooses on his own to go and give money to what you call armed groups. I don't know about that.
Right.
But
Okay.
to the best of my knowledge, the position of our government as a government is that we don't negotiate with bandits, we don't pay them, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't do this.